Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. As you can probably hear, I got a little bit of a cold, so hopefully I won't start coughing as I do this video. I apologize for being a little bit late with this check-in video. I usually like to do these very early in the week following assignments being due. I did just want to comment on how great it's been to get to know you all via the discussion board. I appreciate your comments about borders. That was kind of a fun way to get to know Mastodon and to get to know each other a little bit better. Um, and also, I appreciate your comments on ChatGPT. As you could probably tell from some of my responses to you on the discussion board, I tend to be one of those people who sees ChatGPT as a potential tool for brainstorming, for getting ideas, for refining them. Of course, I would strongly prohibit you from using ChatGPT to just wholesale manufacture responses to class assignments or class questions. I do think that our course is set up such that ChatGPT might be helpful as a brainstorming tool, but it wouldn't be very helpful in terms of just getting answers. I hope so, at least. Um, because at least right now, this may change as ChatGPT gets better and other AI improve. But right now, it tends to hallucinate. And when AI analysts talk about AI platforms hallucinating, what they mean is they make stuff up. And so even if you're saying, I want you to quote from Ansaldua and Marshall's The Age of Walls to give me a question for discussion about those books, you would have to be very careful in looking at what ChatGPT gave you to make sure that it actually has anything to do with those books. Because again, especially when you're asking it to cite specific sources, it's not good at that. Just something to watch out for, something to know. I don't think that I need to add any specific policy beyond what we have for our plagiarism section in the syllabus and the Western New Mexico University policies about plagiarism for ChatGPT, because again, if you're using it in the ways that I've outlined and citing it, that's not plagiarism. That's just doing your best to learn and to think critically. As you'll find, if you use generative AI, you usually have to work pretty hard to get any good responses from it, meaning you have to think critically about how to best ask it questions in order to get good outputs from it. And in doing all of that, you're critically thinking. You're engaging with what we're trying to engage with as we're studying the past and the border. So anyway, I'll stop talking about that. If you have any concerns, though, or would like to talk about AI or ChatGPT further, please do let me know, and we can address those and talk about those. I'm very excited with the work that you're doing for Module 1.2 on the various readings that I gave you. I didn't give a lot of context for those, but I'm pleased to see that many of you have done a little more research. That's what I was hoping you would do. At least about the authors, to see where they're coming from, what kinds of approaches they might have. For example, Marshall is a journalist. Orsi is an academic historian who is trying to write a state of the field sort of piece about Borderlands history. So he's talking about specific foundational works in the field and what some of their strengths and maybe weaknesses are. He's talking about the way that Borderlands history has become a field that has many interesting trees but can't often see the forest. And so when he's using that metaphor, what he's saying is a lot of authors, a lot of researchers, historians get very focused on their topic and on their one little case without thinking about what it says for the story of the Borderlands more broadly. So again, those are things to keep in mind. And of course, Gloria Ansaldúa was a kind of a literary scholar. She was also a cultural critic, founding figure in the Chicano studies movement. And so she's bringing together not just kind of strict academic views or journalistic views of the border, but lived experience, kind of the raw, more visceral, this is what I lived through and this is how I am expressing it, and how it helps to give Chicanos in the United States near the border and who have family on the Mexican side of the border. It's how it gives us some identity. So again, keep up the good work. I jumped into the conversation a little bit on Mastodon this morning. I think you're all doing a good job of asking questions for the discussion board. Remember that the assignment for the first post is to give us an open-ended discussion question that takes into account 2 of the assigned readings. Comparative questions are great. That's what many of you have posted, and that's awesome. They lead to good conversations, those kinds of questions. So again, make sure you've asked a question and make sure your question is open-ended, meaning it can't just be answered with a fact or with a yes or no, but it requires some discussion and some explanation. Otherwise, the last thing to mention is Medium. Several of you have already created your Medium accounts, which was something to have done last week. It's okay if you haven't done it yet, but do it as soon as you can, because for the end of Module 2, Module 2.2, we'll be posting our first blogs to Medium, and you'll need those accounts then. If you have any issues, I'd like to kind of iron those out before we get to the point where you need to be using Medium. So that's why I asked you to do it earlier than later. All right, I think that's everything. I hope that you're having a good week. Please do let me know if you have questions or if I can help with anything. And I look forward to continuing our study of the field of Borderlands history.